Hello, everyone. I'd be remiss if I didn't take a moment to say happy MLK Day, but much larger than that, January 15th is his actual date of birth. And so I just couldn't let the day go by without it. So I just want to send a quick message and I want to talk to you about, Martin Luther King's legacy and Scrum. It's all about a dream, leadership, and teamwork. And I think the majority of you all know exactly who I'm talking about when I say Martin Luther King. We're talking about the legacy of Martin Luther King Jr., which is marked by his visionary leadership, literally an unwavering commitment to equality, and an exceptional set of communication skills which resonated far beyond the civil rights movement. Well, if you look at it at first glance, the connection between Dr. King's legacy and Scrum may not be apparent whatsoever, but there are truly profound parallels in the vision, the leadership, and when you think about teamwork. So, what I want to do today is just take a moment to explore this man's legacy, right? And just tie a few parallels to Scrum. No disrespect to any of this whatsoever. I brought out my fraternity letters. I know he's a man of Alpha Phi Alpha, but the idea is I want to tie these things together. And literally, the first thing that I want to talk to you about is really a vision but dreaming of a better future. If there's anything that the majority of us actually think about, it would be Martin Luther King's I Have a Dream speech, which is a truly timeless example of leadership. He probably painted the most vivid picture that I've ever seen someone have for the future of this country and not being judged by your skin color, okay? But by being judged by the content of your character. Now, when you look at Scrum, and it's not the same thing, but you have this role called a product owner that actually builds that vision for the product. They create something that's clear and compelling. And if they can create a vision that can get people just as excited about the future, then they got people that are motivated to move in a direction like we've seen, with the civil rights movement, right? Because a vision really guides everyone to move in a direction, to move toward a common goal, to take our efforts to build something much greater than what we can do by ourselves. So I always, at this time, take a moment to look at the contents of Dr. King's I Have a Dream speech and think about it from when I was a kid, um, and how it truly had an impact on me because I went to an all black school in an all black neighborhood, and Dr. King, forget that. Jesus and Dr. King is like every older person's house that I went into that was black. You saw those two pictures in their house, period. Like bar none. Whether I'm in the South, in the North, in the Midwest, it didn't matter. I saw a picture of Dr. King and I saw a picture of Jesus in almost every older black person house when I was a kid. So it's something that is, etched in my mind, but that vision of dreaming of a better future is something that we all tied ourselves into. And I think people tie themselves into it to this very day. Now, we're going to move on past that because there's also leadership, guiding people with purpose and empathy. Now, I have to say that Dr. King led a combination of steadfast purposes tied in with like a super deep empathy, you know, and it's like he inspired millions to move forward on a nonviolent crusade against injustice. Let me repeat that: a nonviolent crusade against injustice, dude. You know, and again, I know people that were down for that movement. You know, when as I talked to people who met King and who was in marches, and I also talked to people that wasn't down for that movement, right? But to get millions of people moving in a similar direction, that's important. And one of the things that we take away from that in Scrum is this role called a Scrum Master and the idea associated with servant leadership, literally, right? A person that guides the team with a focus on their goals and understanding each person and helping them get through those needs and those challenges, right? With a certain level of empathy, or I'll say empathetic leadership, like Dr. King, right? When I'm in my classes, I compare Scrum Masters to Dr. King, Gandhi, Nelson Mandela, folks like that, right? In terms of servant leadership. Now, people say it's all about true leadership today, but you know, for decades, Scrum Masters were always associated with servant leadership. So I think in today's world, it is extremely important that we live Dr. King's legacy. But it doesn't stop there. I know we have to take leadership, guiding with purpose and deep, deep empathy. I want to take it a little bit further than that. Because another element that's extremely important is teamwork, right? Collaborating toward common goals is extremely important. You know, when you think about the civil rights movement, it was a collective effort. There's a bunch of unsung heroes. There's a bunch of names that you will never hear, right? Um, I've had the opportunity to talk to many people who found ways to participate in the movement, right? They weren't at the forefront, right? But here's the deal: that requires collaboration and commitment by many people who shared Dr. King's vision. It really does, right? So even if you aren't in the forefront of the movement, you still need people that organizing the protest, participating in the protest at minimum, right? That's important, right? Scrum is built on the foundation of teamwork, where each member plays some type of crucial role. And no matter what we do, we don't let our team falter, right? We make sure that we are successful as a collective. It's not like when I finish, I move on and do something else. No, no, no. I grab my team and I move my team. No matter what role I play, it's all about the team making it there, right? It's all about the team achieving a common goal. In a sprint, it's called a sprint goal, a product, it may be a product goal, but we're trying to get to some destination collectively. And we get there together or we don't. It's really that simple. And so Scrum is really truly built on that foundation of teamwork. And I see that teamwork, you know, in things like the Black Lives Matter movement, you know, in the Me Too movement, right? I see that happening, right? And people canceling people, right? For the right or wrong reasons, whatever it is. But the idea is that it takes teamwork, it takes collaboration toward a common goal. That's what teams do. And that's what you want your teams to do. But don't stop there, because communication is absolutely important, right? You know, is there anyone on the planet that articulated the message better than Dr. King? So articulating a powerful message is extremely important, right? You know, if you look at Dr. King, we're talking about a masterful orator, right? It is somebody who I looked at and patterned my trainings after, right? His ability to articulate his ideas and his ideals in a way that was both persuasive and moving was central to the movement's success. It was central to it. And so when I think about Dr. King, I think about many people that I've seen have been able to take words and masterfully put them together to be able to get people to move in a direction, to get people to move in a direction. And in true fashion, effective communication is absolutely essential to any Scrum team. Whether it's the product owner communicating the vision, the Scrum master facilitating discussions, the team just going off to have a conversation, right? Clear, effective communication is the key to success. There's no question about it. So you'll see it all over Scrum, right? And the more powerful, if we can articulate those messages in a powerful way, we'll probably have a higher chance of success. It doesn't stop there, right? What about embracing change, which is all about adaptability? And this will be, well, no, we're going to go through one more. Adaptability. Let's talk about Dr. King first, right? Through his leadership in the civil rights movement, Dr. King demonstrated an incredible ability to adapt to whatever the changing circumstances were, always finding a new way to advance his cause, right? I think about the murder or killing of the four girls at the church. And I remember watching how Dr. King adapted himself to that situation, almost to a new way to take the movement in a direction and find ways to support those families that experienced that in that community, right? Which furthered his message, right? And being able to do that, to adapt, is extremely important, especially when it comes to Scrum. Scrum is designed around the ability to change, right? Not to resist the change, right? We do things iteratively and incrementally. We make sure we look at the product. We make sure we look at the process. We have continuous feedback loops. We find ways to allow teams to incorporate that stuff into their everyday work. So change is just a big part of Scrum, right? Transparency, inspection, adaptation. You'll see as, the three empirical pillars or the three Scrum pillars. So you'll see it etched in every essence of Scrum, all the pieces of Scrum you'll see it in, right? But embracing change isn't our last thing. Our absolute last thing to talk about here is going to be a commitment to values, right? If there's one thing that Dr. King showed, was a commitment to a set of values associated with equality, justice, and nonviolence. And he think he was going to change, right? But he didn't get the opportunity because he was murdered, right? But looking at him, equality, justice, and nonviolence were those three things that I think that he stood for that were unwavering, that were non-negotiable, right? In Scrum, we talk about commitment, courage, focus, openness, and respect, right? We talk about those things, which is really a strong foundation in terms of Scrum. But I don't think there's anything better than equality and justice. The nonviolence thing is a little tough for me, right? Um, but I think those two things are things that I fought for my entire life. So I will say to you, this man right here, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., legacy really teaches us about the power of vision, the true importance of leadership, and the strength found in teamwork. I believe it's truly all necessary in order to effectively communicate, you know, embracing change along the way so you can adapt, and making sure that you stand on a foundation of values that are unwavering. I believe that these lessons are there in Scrum, but I believe that the lessons ring true in today's world, in today's environment. So, hats off today to Dr. King's enduring legacy because it truly transcends a historical context that is going that will be timeless and provide insights into leading and working for our future. So I'll say again, thank you to Dr. King. And I really appreciate the sacrifice that his family made to allow this man to be a part of our lives. Look, enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you. Have a good one. Peace, everybody.